despite the last couple of weeks going into next week?
Our confidence is great. We played with Green Bay good.
Pocket tight, Rainbow's left side, and it is intercepted! Xavier McKinney looking downfield, rifling left side, Tucker Kraft wide open, left sideline 40, 30, 25, 20, all the way to the end zone for the touchdown! And off Josh Jacobs up the middle, barrels to the end zone, snap to Love, has time, lofts in the middle of the end zone for Dobb, diving grab, touchdown!
Your Packers Road Warrior mix, Slutty with a whip up there. I love it. Malik Heath starting it by saying, for the Green Bay Packers, we're ready. Our confidence is great. Love it. Highlights there. Xavier McKinney with an INT, 1 of 8 this year. Tucker Kraft, the Yak King. Josh Jacobs, the Bulldozer. And Romeo, my Romeo Butchie, who may become the first guy in Packer history to play with the grandma's seat cushion helmet in the postseason. Hey, whatever works for him, okay? Just glad to have him tracking to be back on Sunday. Wayne Larrivee joins us now. Our conversation with Wayne is brought to you by Steam Fitters Local 601. Learn more by visiting steam601.org and by National Fire Sprinklers Association. Visit them at nfsa.org. Wayne, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Great to be with you, as always.
It is great. I know you're not big on tracking your own games and everything else, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Do you know what number playoff game this is for you in your illustrious NFL play-by-play career?
Wow. Boy, I don't know. I mean, that's something I should probably go back and check that out. I never thought of that, to be honest with you.
Because you approach every game with the same amount of effort and intensity as you do a preseason game. That's called being a pro.
Yeah, really, there's no difference. It's just the game's bigger, that's all. Maybe you have a few extra notes, but beyond that, no.
Yeah. Okay. Can I ask you a non-Packer question before we get into the game? And that is, what did you think of McDonough's call last night in the Orange Bowl?
I thought it was typical, Sean McDonough. I thought he rose to the occasion. I had no problem with it. What did you guys think?
I'm a huge McDonough fan. I think he is almost criminally underrated, but I know he's not for everybody. I know that not everybody is a huge fan. I just was kind of like from one play-by-play man to another. He took it up an extra octave when that kick went in. And you know what that kick reminded me of, Wayne? The way it started to yaw to the right as if it was going to miss. Yeah. And then it yawed left inexplicably after it did that. Reminded me of he went to Jared in Dallas. Remember Crosby's field goal?
I thought it reminded you of your driver. Tee shot. That's what I thought it reminded you of.
I wish. When my driver starts tailing one direction into the woods, it never reverses course.
It never comes back? Then it must have reminded me of Wayne's tee shot because Wayne's always right down the middle.
Okay, yeah, right. But Wayne, you remember Mason Crosby's kick at the left upright in Dallas started going the wrong way, and then it course corrected by the hand of God and went in.
By the hand of God, yep. And I do believe in the mystical aspect of all this. So, yes, I do believe if it's your time, that kick is going to come back inside. Crosby, that kick in Dallas, he had to do it twice. The first time he did it, it was right down the boulevard. But Jason Garrett, the Dallas coach, called a timeout. All right, so they have to do it again. And this time, Mason tugged it a little bit, as you sometimes do with that driver when you're not quite sure to release it. And he tugged it a little bit, and it barely stayed in, but it did.
Yeah. The good news, I guess, if you're a Packer fan, is that Jake Elliott for the Eagles has not had a good year by what his normal standards are. I'm not saying he's going to miss a game-winning kick, but I don't feel as much like, oh, God, this guy's money. So we'll see if it comes down to that. Let's start with the injury report and who are the most important names that are starting to clear up and clear out and become participants in practice. The only guy we're still kind of waiting on is who when it comes to the Packers? Is it anybody other than, I'm looking at the only DNPs yesterday were Watson, who we knew, and then Zane Anderson listed on the report. Bullard was limited. Cooper was limited. Brenton Cox was limited. But
Jordan Love full, Dobbs full.
Mm-hmm.
So even Malik Willis full. So that's good. Evan Williams was limited as well.
I think they're trending to play, but time will tell. Today's injury report will tell all, because today's injury report is the truth. You line them up and you say, okay, who's playing, who's not, and who is still in that 50-50 category that we might have to make a game time decision on. So I really don't spend a lot of time with the injury report on Wednesday and Thursday because it's a lot of machinations.
Okay, so it's not
just the Packers, but everybody does that.
They all. Yeah, you're right.
But anyway,
I forgot to mention Quay Walker was limited as well. I think that's a big piece. To me, if Quay and Evan Williams are playing Sunday, I feel 1,000% better. That defense is almost full strength, except for obviously Jair.
Yeah, exactly. And they played so long without Jair. Czabe, it's almost like he hasn't played. It's almost like they've been playing with these guys all year, and they essentially have. So to me, just looking at it, would you like to have Jair Alexander out there? Of course, but they haven't had him, so it's not like they're missing him.
Okay. I say let's make – I do. I say let's make Jalen Hurts a passer. And if we make Jalen Hurts a passer almost exclusively, keep him from making any little runs that hurt you on third and longs, I think you got a real good chance at beating this team.
And he did hurt them on that last drive in Sao Paulo, on running the football third in situations like that. I wonder, and I don't know this, but I wonder how much, guy coming off 2 weeks on a concussion, he may be 100%, but I'm wondering if Sirianni and that offense want to put him into these situations where they're calling designed runs for the quarterback, where they're even doing the tush push. Do you want to do that with Jalen Hurts coming off a concussion? The other thing you wonder about at that position, how sharp will he be? I'm sure he's throwing the football fine in practice. And what his teammates, he looks sharp. What are they going to say? Oh, he looks like crap, man. He hasn't played in 3 weeks.
Correct.
You think they're going to say that? Come on.
Of course not.
I think those are the factors you got to think about with this quarterback. But even if they are conservative with him, they have more than enough in the arsenal.
Yesterday on WIP, Hugh Douglas actually said, and I listened, he said, they should run, Jalen Hurts. He's going to run into somebody and he's going to get up and realize he's fine. And then he can go about being who he is as a player. Yeah. And his co-hosts were like, do you really want him to run into somebody?
Yeah.
So Hugh Douglas was like, no, one hit and he'll be fine. I'm more in your camp, Wayne, which is I'd take it easy if I were them.
Yeah. And the other guy, personality, Ron Jaworski, said the Packers have absolutely no chance to win this football game. He said that in Philadelphia radio.
Wow.
Absolutely no chance is what Ron Jaworski said. None.
Wow.
And he studies the tape and all that other stuff.
With a hot take like that?
Hot take. Very hot take. I'm surprised it wasn't all over the Packers locker room yesterday. I was looking for the quote.
Okay, so you bring that up. Why do you think that's the case? Why do the Packers have that big of an advantage that Ron Jaworski's out there saying no chance?
No, Packers.
Packers. Why do they feel like the Eagles?
Hold on. As your attorney, Wayne, don't answer that question. Your Honor, why are you asking Wayne to defend the stupid opinion of Ron Jaworski?
Well, I'm just curious in that world. Like, it
clearly
just seems like
my
such
client
a bad,
does not agree
it just seems like
with that
such
opinion.
A bad take that, like,
he doesn't speak for Mr. Jaworski and his opinions.
No, but there's a reason that
Jaworski
feels that way, right? Like, at what point are the stars that you look at say boom, boom, and boom, and okay, that there's some legit validity to that, or is it just a dumb statement?
I mean, I think it's one of those statements, you as a personality, which is what Ron has become. And he's very good football analyst. Don't get me wrong. I when he did his talent audition for ESPN, they had me doing play-by-play with him. Okay. So I've known Ron for a long time, but I think you get caught up in a local market like that. And in our local market, you get caught up in these things. And he goes off the rail and says, Packers have absolutely no chance to beat the Eagles. Well, I think there's a reason we're going out there. There's a chance.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a chance the Packers could go out there and win that game. Absolutely. But it plays well with the local people in Philadelphia. They love it.
For sure. Do the Packers need to have a turnover to win this game?
Yeah, I think they do.
Is that what it comes down to? Is them having to get a turnover and then winning the rushing battle? Is it that simple?
Consider this in game one. Okay, opening game of the first game of the season. Packers forced 2 fumbles, recovered 1, made 2 interceptions. Okay, the Eagles since then have turned the ball over in the next 16 games just 12 times. So the Packers have been there. They've done that. The key is not just turning the ball over, getting the turnover. The key is what do you do with it? And I believe on those turnovers, the Packers scored 6 points. And that essentially was what cost them the game in the long run.
The number is 70%. When you win the turnover battle, it's 70%. I just looked it up right now. Okay. Teams that win the turnovers, 70% winners on average. I know this. The Packers cannot put the ball on the ground. They've been doing that way too much lately. They've gotten lucky with it. I don't know what's going on there. I hope this week ball security has been a big message from LaFleur and the staff. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. But, yeah, that can't happen. Now, does Love have to have a superior game to what his season average has been? He's 31st in completions. Does he need a 5 or 6 incomplete only type of game where he's 70% plus to win? Or can they win with him hitting a big shot here and a big shot there?
I think they need to hit a couple of shots in this game. I don't think there's any question about that. The Eagles are going to be crowding the line of scrimmage, especially on first and second downs to stop Jacobs. And the Packers must make them pay. You can beat Darius Slay. He's 33 years old. You can beat Quinyon Mitchell. He's a rookie. You can get behind these guys. I saw Washington do it. Now, Washington has Terry McLaurin. There's no one in Green Bay of that ilk, at least not of that accomplished ilk in their wide receiving core. But they have people who can get deep, and I think they're going to have to take a shot or 2 downfield. And by the way, if Love throws the ball in harm's way a little bit more than he has over the last 8 weeks, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You're going to have to push the envelope a little bit here, and you're going to have to drive the ball downfield at some point against this defense because pound and grind is not going to work in this game. The Eagles are too good against too good of a defense overall. You're going to be able to run on them, but you're not going to be able to sustain drives unless you make them respect you downfield.
Wayne, who's going to be the unsung hero in this Packers game if they win, right? Like, who's the guy that all of a sudden comes out of nowhere? Because it seems like every game there's been somebody different, especially from their wide receiver core. But who are we talking about Monday morning?
How about Bo Melton?
Bo Melton? I'd be down with that.
The forgotten guy. He's got the speed to get deep. He's got the speed. Now, he doesn't have Christian Watson's length, but he has speed, and he can get deep. And, wouldn't surprise me if he's a guy who pops up.
Okay. So I'm looking at this here. Christian Watson had 555 snaps this year, according to Pro Football Reference. That averages out to about 29 per game, I think I just calculated. So there's a number of snaps that are going to go to somebody. You say Melton's going to get some looks. How about Malik Heath?
Yeah. Oh, no,
What's
absolutely.
wrong with Malik Heath?
He's been
getting
coming
some
on.
Of those snaps.
He has been coming on the last couple of weeks. And there's another guy.
Right.
Dontavian Wicks has caught the ball much better the second half of the season than he did the first half. Jaden Reed, there's a guy who's been in, all right, if I would use a baseball term, slump, of late. And that's a guy who you need to turn it around. He killed the Eagles in that game in Sao Paulo. I mean, he was as big a factor as Saquon Barkley was for Philadelphia. Jaden Reed was that kind of an impact player for the Packers on that night. So, you'd like to see him. But, yeah, you guys were asking about people in the receiving corps who might step up. I'd say Bo Melton. Obviously, Malik Heath is a guy they've kind of just rediscovered down the stretch in this season.
I know Tucker Kraft has been great, but he was not supposed to be the pass catcher of the 2 tight ends. Mm-hmm. That was supposed to be Musgrave. Musgrave has been back now for 3 games, and I'm looking at his targets. Other than the Minnesota game, he got no targets in 17 snaps. What's going on with Musgrave? Is he still not fully 100%? Will he ever become a target and a asset offensively for Jordan Love?
Yes, he will. And I think that I think this might be a week. Maybe they've got him ready now. He's been on the active roster for 3 games and played. I wouldn't worry about how many targets he's had. I think he's a guy who can make a play or two in the middle of the field. He can stretch that defense down the seam and maybe give the Packers a little bit of that's the kind of thing you want to do to loosen up that Philadelphia front, which will be ganging up against Josh Jacobs. But I really think there's another guy, if you want to talk about somebody coming out of nowhere that could have a big game, it could be that tight end. And, he offers a different dimension than Tucker Kraft does. And the reason they had the 2 of them on the roster is because of that factor. And so he's a guy, I don't know if he's ready or not. I haven't seen it in the games yet. Nobody has. But, little do we know, what do they have working behind the scenes with this guy? They got him up on the roster for a reason. They've gotten his feet wet in the games. And now are they ready to really cast him in a feature role? We'll see.
Right. I hope the X factor is the fact that Edgerrin Cooper was pretty much a non-entity in the first meeting because he was just getting his legs under him as a rookie. And now the last 5 weeks, he's been popping off on everybody's TV screens. Every analyst out there, the national analysts are like, look at this guy here. He is killing people. TFL's blowing plays up. This wasn't there the first time. So say hello, Saquon Barkley, 256.
Say hello to my little friend.
Say hello to my little friend. Cool. All right. Wayne, your travels will be when? Tonight? Tomorrow?
We'll go tomorrow. We'll be back Sunday night.
Okay. Safe travels.
All right, guys. Win, lose, or draw. We'll talk Sunday.
We'll talk Monday. Beware.